All right, today we are going to work with multiplying with decimals. So our lesson today is not going to be multiplying a decimal, but a whole number with a decimal. So that is where we are going to get started today. So what is a decimal? Well, it's a number that's less than one whole. So a decimal is smaller than one whole. So it can be tenths, which would be in here, or hundredths in there. If we add another section, it could be in thousandths, as long as it is less than one whole. So what happens to a number when it is multiplied by a number less than 1? Now, we've talked briefly about this before. And if we have a number like 2, there's our 2. And we're going to do 3 different things with this 2. So let's just make our little graph right here. And we are going to multiply 2 by 3 different numbers. So first, if we multiply 2 by 1, we should get 2. A number multiplied by 1 will give us that same number. That's called the identity property. Now, if we multiply by a number greater than 1, 2 times 2 is going to give us 4. But if we multiply 2 by a number less than 1, and we're going to use a decimal here, we're going to say 0 decimal point 5, which is 5 tenths, we are going to get 1. So when we multiply a whole number by a decimal, our number is actually going to get smaller. It's the same thing when we multiply a number by a fraction. When multiplied by a number less than 1, our number actually is going to go down in size. 2 became a 1. Pretty simple. So let's use what we know already about multiplication to do this first problem. So our problem is Billy wants to buy 8 burgers for his friends. Each burger costs $3. So how much is Billy going to end up spending? Well, using simple multiplication, we know that if we have 8 burgers, and each burger is going to cost $3, 8 times 3 is going to give us $24. Right? 8 burgers, $3 each, $24. So we're going to have Billy do something else for us and kind of see what happens. Now, in this one, Billy wants to buy 8 packs of gum for his friends. Each pack costs 50 cents. Now, there's a couple different things we can do here. Let's start off with a really easy method. It might take a little while longer, but it'll still work for us. So, if we used repeated addition, we know that each pack of gum costs 50 cents, and there are 8 of them. So, in using repeated addition, we would simply add 50 cents 8 times together. So, let us do that. And there's 1. I'm going to try and do this fast. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There are 8 packs of gum that each cost 50 cents. Well, if you know your addition, or if you just know how to count with money, there's $1, there's $1, there's $1, and there's $1. Because 50 cents plus 50 cents gives us 0. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1, and it's $1. So, in total, we are going to have, oh, that's my eraser, $4. You can always use repeated addition for multiplication if you feel lost. It is a perfectly valid way to work through this. So, what if we wanted to actually use the multiplication instead of doing this repeated addition? Well, let's do some erasing and see what happens. So, if we have 8 packs of gum that cost 50 cents a piece, we know that 8 times 5 is going to give us 40. Now, why this works for 50 cents is because the 5 in 5 holes would be right here, and the 5 for 50 cents or 5/10 is right there. It has been moved to the right 1 place value. So that's where we need to do our multiplication. So 8 times 5 being 40 is going to move the 4 over to the left in 1 place value. And we're going to do a couple of these so y'all know what I'm talking about. But it would make 8 times 5 40, or 4 holes, or $4. However you want to look at that. And again, you can check with your repeated addition. So let's do another one. Okay. So Chris buys 3 pounds of olives. Each pound costs $2.75. How much will he spend? Well, we've got several methods to figure this out. Let's use pink this time. So, we have 3 pounds of olives, and each pound is going to be $2.75. If we use repeated addition, we can get our answer. 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 7 plus 7 plus 7, or 3 times 7, is going to be 21. Plus that 1 is going to be 22. And now you see how all of my decimals are lined up. We're going to put ours down here. Now, we're going to add up our 4 2's. 2, 4, 6, 8. And our answer is going to be $8.25 that Chris is going to end up spending. Now, what if I didn't want to do repeated addition? Again, repeated addition is fine. It works. But what we're actually going to do now is an area model or a box method to figure this one out. So let's do some erasing. Get rid of this. Now, our problem is going to be 3 times 275. Now we're going to set this up just like we would for regular box method multiplication. I'm going to put my 3 down, and please follow along. And then I have 1, 2, 3 place values for this number. So make a nice big box. And actually, I'm going to open up the bottom a little bit more because my stylus needs a little bit more room to write. Okay. Now, my $2.75 is going to get broken up into 2 wholes, 7/10, and 5/100. Okay? I'm going to add a 0 there. So let's go through and start multiplying. It's going to be pretty easy. So 3 times 2 is going to give us 6. 3 times 7 is 21. Now our number moves up in our place value, so it's going to be 2, 1, 0. And then 3 times 5 is 15. It's going to be 0.15. Now, we can add all of these up. 6. There it is. Let's check it off. To 10. And you see I'm actually lining up my decimal points so that when I add, everything will come out correct. So 5 plus 0 is 5. 1 plus 1 is 2. And 6 plus 2 is 8. Once again, we get $8.25. Again, if this is not quite making sense for you yet, please use repeated addition. So, before we hit our next one, I think it is time for a brain break. That's right. Not quite ready for this one. What am I going to draw? Let's try... Let's see, I'm looking around my room. Let's do... Okay, here we go. I got it now. Let's see if y'all can figure this out. Okay, here we go. Now, I don't know why, but this always seems to be the hardest part of my lessons for me, is just trying to figure out what's good that y'all are going to actually want to see me draw that's not going to bore everybody out. But, whatever. Y'all will enjoy it, and if you don't, that's okay too. You can sit there and think about how you can probably draw something better than I can. Which some of you really can. Okay, there's that part. Okay. They're going to come down like this. And I know some of y'all don't appreciate creepy crawlies, but I, on the other hand, really like bugs. I don't know what it is. I just do. I think there's something really interesting about beetles and different kinds of insects. But, again, to each their own. I was reading this thing earlier. I think that's why I've thought to draw this. That there are types of dung beetles that can carry something like over 1,000 times their body weight. Which means Spider-Man would have nothing on a man who could get crossed with a beetle. Spider-Man, anyways, is one of my favorite superheroes. But, okay, so there's part of his legs. And then we're going to come out like this. He's got these little pointers. Here he comes with his little grabbers up his arms. I really should start learning the names of all these pieces. But not today. Nope, not today. Okay, and he's got his little thing right here. His grabbers come up. That. And I'm going to do some stuff down here. I think this is the thorax, which would be right there. Okay, and then his little head. A little beetle style thing. And, you know, that's not that bad. I actually really like that. Yeah. Color that in a little bit. There you go, Mr. Beetle. And his name is going to be Ted. Ted the Beetle, who is on Mr. Guerrero's iPad now. Yeah. I like that. Alright, let's move on. Now, if Dave makes $13.50 per week mowing lawns, and he works for 5 weeks, how much will he make? So, let's think about our two methods. we can simply add $13.50 5 times, because by using repeated addition, that would work for us. Or we can multiply 5 by $13.50. So let's try both methods and kind of see what we like. So the first one, we've got $13.50, and we're going to add that to itself 5 different times. Well, maybe not 5 different times, but there are 5 different numbers we're adding together, all at the same time. But I think y'all are smart enough to know what I'm trying to say. So we got 5 zeros, all those together is going to be 0. We got 5 5s, those added together is going to give us 25. Now remember, keep your decimal place the same. We got 5 3s, which is 15, with our little 2 up top is going to give us 17. And we've got 5 3s, or 5 1s, very sorry about that. 5 1s was going to be 5, plus that one at the top is going to be 6. So, our boy is going to make $67.50. Now, let's try some multiplication to set this up. Do a little erasing. Okay. Let's pick a new color. I like blue. All right. I'm going to set up a box method. So we got 5 times 13.50. Got my 5. Give myself a little bit of room, because again, my stylus does not always write the best. So, I've got 1, 2, 3 place values. I'm not going to count this one because it's a 0. So my first one is actually a 10. My next one's going to be a 3. And the next one is going to be a 0.50. Now, let's start multiplying through. Let's see what we get. 5 times 10 is 50. 5 times 3 is 15. And 5 times 5 is 25. Okay? And we're going to talk more about how to do these later. But let's go ahead and add our stuff up and see what happens. 50 plus 15 plus 250. It's going to be 0, 5, 7, 6. $67.50. All right. Well, that's about it. And like I said, later on in another lesson, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to multiply and kind of set our place values. But for today, I think it's a good place to start. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will talk to you later.